Save money. Buy one of these older retro handhelds instead. Today's video is about old devices and whether or not the new releases, because there are so many coming out, are better than the older ones that came out 2, 3, 4 years ago. So let's have a look. All right, so I checked my YouTube channel on these when I switched to retro gaming exclusively is 2 years old. And so I don't have all the old, like the S30 or S60 or whatever, all the old ones, the Bit Boys and all those. I don't have those, but I do think we've evolved past those like sort of OG original generation devices. I think those are purely just nostalgia. This is, are these any better? And just decide, should you spend all the money on a new device, or can you just save some money and buy one of these? And I'll save you some time. It is probably going to be cheaper for someone who's not deep in the weeds into this community to just buy one of these older devices on sale. You're going to save a lot of money and you're going to play everything up to PlayStation 1 on any of these devices. So let's take a look. Okay, so the first one I want to look at in terms of, it's not the best value and it's not that old, but the Retroid Pocket 3 Plus, which you can't buy on their website anymore, you'd have to buy it secondhand, but this is still available on the Anbernic website, is the RG405M. Now I gave it a little bit of a hard time in my review, but it is probably the best, most durable, compact device. It was a bit expensive on launch because it was metal. I think it was fairly priced. It plays everything up to a lot of PS2 games, GameCube games. So it's very powerful. Hall sensor joysticks, and they are Switch style, but I did quite enjoy them in gameplay. I installed Digest on here. It is an Android device. I really enjoyed the D-pad on this style of D-pad. The buttons are a lot firmer on these Anbernic devices. Their controls tend to be a bit stiffer than other devices. But overall, in terms of something that is compact, durable, very beautiful, this color is lovely, can play a lot of games, way more than any of these. This is probably one of the nicest, and as an older device to buy for someone for Christmas, this is probably going to be one of the top picks in terms of older, something a little bit more affordable. Okay, moving on. In my review of the RG353P, I said that this one was a bit of an underdog. It never really got the glory it deserved, and it's because the same problem that's happening now with Anbernic, they are releasing too many devices in too much of a quick succession, and we miss it as reviewers. We don't have time to sit with these devices, soak up the glory of what we are experiencing, and relay it to you. So for instance, I was thinking the other day, there's a really good device, I can't remember what it is now, but I just completely skipped it. I never made nice videos about it. The RG556. I only have one video on the RG556, and it's a wonderful device. So we are missing these things, and this is one of those, the 353P. This device can play Dreamcast, it can play obviously PlayStation 1, N64, and then all your older TV systems, handheld systems. And then obviously what this really would be nice for is if somebody is a huge SNES fan, there isn't a device out that has the SNES controller form factor, and this will play the entire SNES catalog. So set this up for someone for Christmas, give them a SNES. You might be onto what this video is aimed at. Set this up for someone who would enjoy the SNES catalog and just put all the games on for them. This would just be a lovely device. And to talk about the controls, that one of the things that I mentioned in my review is that these are lovely bumpers and triggers. It's just digital triggers, but the feeling of these buttons underneath is very good. It's a really nice feeling trigger area. The D-pad's pretty good, a little bit on the sharp side, but nice. Not Hall sensor joysticks, I don't think, but Switch style, is what it is. And then it's got the lovely Anbernic action button. So this is a great option. Now, this is a device that I don't remember giving enough love. I spent a lot of time on this device. This was my personal device for the longest time. I think this might have been one of the first devices I got after the RG350M, which was the actual device I bought for myself just before I was even into the scene. And so this was for me a big upgrade. I loved this compared to the RG350M. This is the RG351V. It is the nicest form factor if you're going for a Game Boy feel. It obviously doesn't have the right screen ratio. It's got a 4:3 screen ratio, so more for TV systems. But you can play. This is the RK. I can never remember the numbers, but this was a really revolutionary chip for the scene because it can play a little bit of Nintendo DS, PlayStation, it can play a little bit of PlayStation Portable, it can play a bit of Dreamcast, not a lot, but it can go into that arena quite well. N64, bit of N64. I don't think it plays the whole catalog, but it is a lovely chip. Power Kitty just released the V10, which has this chipset in it, just because it was great. And for anyone like you who's just wants to play some old games like Nintendo, it's all you need. And so the 351V, I think, is one of my top picks out of this in terms of if you are a vertical form factor fan, you want a throwback to the old Game Boys, this is the one for you. The reason this isn't my top pick is because of the size. So not everyone is going to want a tiny device like the Miyoo Mini. Now I've left it standing for a little while. It's powered down. So it's got Onion OS, which has got good battery management. It opens up in the last game you were playing. This thing just has the X factor. It has the nostalgia factor. It was the first very usable mini device. People can play one-handed. You can play an old RPG with one hand. I took this. I was blessed with an overseas trip by a family member, and I took this with me. This was my European tour device, and I absolutely loved it. It was nice to just play an old RPG, almost like reading a book, and you just kind of go through an old RPG with this. So this is a great nostalgia factor. It's a creaky thing. It's rattly and all that. If you're willing to go the mini route, this is still a wonderful device. The Miyoo Mini, not the Plus, the Miyoo Mini. Also a unique chipset compared to everyone else, but it can also play up to PS1. And then sticking with vertical devices, and again, another device that I don't remember giving much love is the RG353VS. I would say get the VS version. The Android version is going to cost a bit more, and this is going to be more affordable. Very, very nice device. It comes with sticks, so if you want more of a nostalgia factor, this is going to be it also has one joystick, but it's going to be more nostalgic, I think. But so it's a modern take on the Game Boy. It plays a lot of things. It plays a lot of PSP, Dreamcast. It's going to play N64. It's going to play the entire catalog of N64. You can set it up to play native Pico 8. A little bit of Nintendo DS. And then the thing is, most of these are actually Anbinix. And the thing with them is they're well made and they've got good controls. Their controls are generally, good. You've got good D-pads, lovely membrane action buttons. These joysticks are Switch-style joysticks. A lot of people give them a hard time, but on devices like this, I think it's absolutely perfect. Nice shoulder buttons. This is a good one. This is a very powerful one. So out of all these verticals that I'm doing today, this is the most powerful one. So if you're looking for something with a little bit more grunt that's going to last you a while, this is the way to go. So check the prices. At the time of making this, it's going to be very different to the festive season when everything goes on sale, or just before the festive season. Okay, and then a device that I did give a lot of love is the RG35XX. Now this one, they've brought out the RG35XX Plus, which is the same size, but has got a little bit less power. But this again is going to play all your Nintendo games. It's not going to play any PSP, anything like that, nothing crazy like that, but everything up to PS1, it plays solidly. Good buttons, not as good action buttons as these older ones. So I use my knife for autofocus. You can get Garlic OS for it. It has a few shortcomings, but Garlic OS is very nice. It makes it look nice and work easily, and it's got good power management. Garlic OS comes with favorites and recents. The D-pad is okay, not the best D-pad, but it's all right. So you can see this is a slightly more budget-friendly version of, say, the 353VS. This is a very, very good budget device. And what Anbinix did was they mothballed this one and they brought out the 2024 version. I think that you might be better off if you can't find this, because the 2024 version is basically just this, but more expensive. So if you can't find the OG RG35XX, I would say buy one of the Plus versions because you're going to get more power and probably fall close to the same price. Then still sticking with vertical, we are going to go with, this is a device that I touted as my favorite device for quite some time. It is still, when I pick it up, it's just like nostalgia feelings, but it's also a lovely device. Now, it's not a 3x2 screen or whatever it is for Game Boy Advance, but it is a nice screen for Game Boy Advance. I'm busy playing a little bit here. It's not the highest resolution because of the resolution of the screen. It's like, people call it like half pixels. So the size of the screen is like half the size of what you actually want it. But for handheld systems, it's really nice. So for Game Boy Advance, Game Boy, and then NES, the screen is the right size for NES. I wanted to say Sonic the Hedgehog, Mega Drive, all those systems. This, as I recall, is a lower end chip compared to the rest. But you are going to play everything and then a lot of PS1. Not all of PS1, but you're going to play most of PS1 on here. And you're going to find this on a deal. So this is a lovely form factor. Obviously, not for everyone, but a very, very nice form factor. Beautiful if you are a fan of the Famicom aesthetic. It had some downsides like audio coming out the back, but you know, overall, this to me is like a classic at this point. I really love it. It's really special. And if you are looking at a mini device and this one is cheaper than the Miyoo Mini, I would say go for this because it is a really good device and really special. The only thing downside with this is that you have to, well, not downside, but you have to install Atom Image to make it nice. It works with OpenDingX, which is just a terrible backend system. Atom Image is easy because you just flash it to any SD card, pop that SD card in here, and off you go. It runs, and then you put your games on. So in terms of that, it's not a big deal, and there's plenty of setup guides for Atom Image. Oh, and one other thing, you can put Amber Elec on here, and on the next one I'm about to show you. And I kind of miss Amber Elec. It's just a really nice operating system. Also, you just flash it on, off you go. Flash it onto an SD card and you can run it on one of these devices. So the last device, and this is the device that I think in terms of 2024 still holds its own because it is a 3x2 screen. PowerKitty have tried to recreate the magic with the V10. It's a vertical device with the same screen ratio, but this is better. The form factor, the colors it came in a purple and white, and there's another option, this white and black. I just had to have it. I don't think I made any videos about it, but this is a beautiful Game Boy Advance device. If you're a Game Boy Advance aficionado, this is the device to get. Ask Joey from Retro Handhelds. He bought this and for a while was a bit obsessed with it and couldn't produce videos because he was just enjoying it so much. So it is a lovely device. They've used very nice plastic on it. So it's almost like Tupperware style plastic, you know, like very durable plastic. It's got the Switch style joysticks and yeah, a Game Boy Advance device that can play up to, it can play a little bit of PSP, which I quite enjoyed on here, and then up to PS1 completely flawlessly. This one, again, you can put Amber Elec on, but there's quite a few custom firmwares for this and this one particular. So before I finish, I just want to make a disclaimer. None of these really come with great firmware. And you know, S is the custom firmware for here. I never mentioned the custom firmware for these devices. These two, you can actually get Rocknix, which is a currently supported operating system, a custom firmware, and Rocknix is very nice. I recommend Rocknix for these two, the RG353P and the RG353VS. Recommend the Rocknix for those. Amber Elec I recommend for here, but there are quite a few options there. This is still the old, the RG350, those devices. It's that operating system, that backend, that chipset. So that Atom Image is the best for that. Garlic OS I still recommend for the OG RG35XX. This one is Android. I like Show. The other guys are really enjoying Emulation Station front end for this. So have a look at that. And yeah, I'm not going to focus too much on price because these prices are going to vary as we head towards the festive season. It's the middle of the year as I'm making this video. And so the prices are going to vary, but you must have a look because these I feel are some of the best deals for the older devices and will save you a little bit of money rather than buying one of these new fancy devices.